Hey everybody. I am currently, as you're watching this, in the North Woods of Minnesota, camping with my family, which is a serendipitous and awkwardly scheduled trip. On the one hand, where better to be studying eco-womanism than in the woods on an island in the middle of a lake in the middle of Minnesota. On the other hand, I am not there with you or near reliable internet. So I have pre-recorded this portion of our class instruction from my front yard. It's my front yard. There's a baby tree right there. I do live across the street from a park, so you may occasionally hear a squeal of delight from a child or many children. I will be going over a handful of terms and ideas that Dr. Melanie Harris illustrated with deep conviction. We wanted to make sure that we fleshed out these terms so as to provide a more complete understanding of Dr. Harris's eco-womanist thought and her 7-step methodology. First term is eco-womanism itself. Eco-womanism is a term that refers to the combination of ecological and womanist principles. There is great emphasis on the intersectionality of race, class, gender, and environment. Eco-womanist theology promotes the practice of environmental justice and social justice that is interconnected with and advocates for the empowerment of marginalized women in environmental movements globally. On page 14, Dr. Harris writes, eco-womanist approaches can be described as a reflective and contemplative study of the eco-wisdom that is theorized, constructed, and practiced by women of African descent. The discourse validates their lives, spiritual values, and activism as important epistemologies or sets of knowledge in eco-womanism. And that leads us into our next term, eco-wisdom, which promotes a deep understanding of the ecological principles, an appreciation for the interconnectedness of all life forms, and the commitment to living in harmony with nature for the well-being of both present and future generations. This includes African cosmology, that African slaves in the Americas brought with them, and living African spirituality still highlight. And that's the interconnection between spirit, nature, and humanity, and calls for an ethical mandate to care for the earth. What Dr. Harris offers is a deconstructive and constructive theology of eco-womanism. Page 17, she states, using a deconstructive lens, eco-womanism critiques environmental approaches that ignore the history of environmental justice work, which is historically led by communities of color, and refuses to acknowledge the impact of white supremacy on the development of current environmental movement. The eco-womanist constructive approach is a framework that combines the principles of eco-womanism and constructive activism. It aims to address the environmental and social justice issues through a holistic and empowering perspective, particularly focusing on the experiences and concerns of marginalized women. The eco-womanist constructive approach integrates these two frameworks, recognizing the importance of addressing environmental issues through an intersectional lens, and emphasizing nonviolent, constructive strategies for change. It involves empowering marginalized women and communities to actively participate in decision-making processes, advocating for their rights and interests, and working towards sustainable, just, and inclusive environmental practices, which may include activities such as community organizing, education, resistance, advocacy. It aims to challenge systemic inequalities, promote environmental stewardship, and foster social and environmental justice by centering the voices and experiences of marginalized women, and offer spiritual resilience and solutions for survival and flourishing. The next term of importance is eco-memory, which was defined by Dr. Harris on page 28 as the collective and individual memory of the earth and relationship with the earth. Eco-memory can and should be intergenerational. Our eco-autobiographies are founded in the eco-stories of our ancestors and elders and built upon by our own memories and knowledge. From Dr. Harris's perspective, eco-memory is counter-memory. By highlighting forgotten or marginalized Black voices and histories, eco-memory as counter-memory serves as a tool for questioning and critiquing established power structures, dominant ideologies, and historical inequalities. It encourages a more inclusive understanding of the past and challenges the notion of a singular authoritative historical truth. This allows for the foundation to practice or to do womanist theology. Another term that needs to be acknowledged is eco-colonialism, which builds upon the historical dynamics of colonialism, where powerful nations established control and exploited the resources of colonized territory. However, eco-colonialism specifically highlights the environmental dimension of this exploitation. It involves the extraction of natural resources, such as minerals, timber, or fossil fuels, from colonized or economically vulnerable regions, often resulting in environmental degradation and disruption of local ecosystems. Dr. Harris includes and highlights the exploitation and degradation of the human bodies, communities, and their communal eco-knowledge in this definition that isn't there before. And finally, eco-spirituality. Eco-spirituality can be seen as a response to the environmental challenges and crises we face, providing a framework for cultivating a deeper connection with nature and promoting a more harmonious relationship with humans and the environment. It offers a way to integrate ecological consciousness with spiritual or religious beliefs and practices, fostering a greater sense of environmental responsibility and reverence for the natural world. Ecowomanism encompasses the religious diversity and ever-changing spiritual perspectives of women of African descent. It recognizes the presence of various religious traditions and beliefs within the African diaspora, reflecting the historical and cultural experiences of those communities. Ecowomanism also acknowledges that women of African descent may have fluid and evolving spiritual beliefs that may not fit neatly in established religious frameworks. Additionally, it emphasizes the dynamic nature of women's spiritual perspectives, which can adapt and respond to social, cultural, and environmental influences. Overall, eco-womanism celebrates the religious pluralism, fluid spirituality, and dynamic outlooks of Black women. I hope that this brief dive into these terms helps you understand the praxis of the 7-step methodology a little bit better. I really loved this book. I enjoyed it. It provided me with a womanist lens on a Jewish mitzvot of tikkun olam. Tikkun olam is a Hebrew phrase that means repairing the world or healing the world. It is a concept rooted in tradition of ethics, particularly in the teachings of Judaism. Tikkun olam embodies the responsibility of individuals and communities to engage in acts of social justice, charity, and efforts to improve society and the world at large, including the environment. It encompasses a wide range of actions, including acts of kindness, pursuing justice, advocating for human rights, and working towards the betterment of society. Both Tikkun Olam and eco-womanism share a focus on addressing systemic injustices and promoting a more just and sustainable world. They emphasize the importance of taking action and engaging with the world to bring about positive change. This is all very exciting for me. I had so much fun reading this and annoyed everybody who was around me because it's like, oh my gosh, listen to this. I hope it was for you all too. Enjoy the rest of class.